Welcome, passionate football fans. This is the Overthinker Podcast. That was quite an awesome weekend of football there. A lot of interesting things happening, a lot of underdogs winning and covering. And some of them I wasn't expecting them, some of them I definitely was betting on. Totally didn't think the Bears would have a chance versus the Niners, and they wound up winning by 9 points in a crazy game. Playing in the mud, basically a monsoon. It was interesting, fun to watch the highlights. I didn't catch much of the game live, but it was cool to see Justin Fields make some plays there. And yeah, that's pretty sick. They already have a t-shirt you can buy with Justin Fields sliding through the water. Yeah, and then you also have, that Christian Watson drop. That was insane. It's not something that was too surprising. We have heard a lot about that in the pre-draft process, that Christian Watson has a pretty high drop percent, something like 12%, which is fairly high for a guy coming out of college. This is something that I guess, you got to take into account going forward, especially for like fantasy football and whatnot. He's probably going to be a guy that might have some big plays and might have some drops, He's probably going to be out there, though. Typically, you want a guy who can get open and has drop issues versus a guy that can't get open at all, because it's still more valuable than just some average receiver who's not going to get open very much, even if they can catch the ball. And yeah, similar career path possibly to Marcus Valdes-Scantling. Very fast receiver coming out of college, has some drop issues, but could get open. And yeah, he has struggled with drops most of his career so far, but he has improved a little bit, but he still will have some of those plays. You just hope that Christian Watson will improve a little bit. And if he improves a little bit, he will be a pretty good NFL receiver probably. Yes, you basically have the Bears blowing out the Niners. You got the Vikings blowing out the Packers. That was pretty funny. Nice to see, not going to lie. Yeah, and you also have just a lot of heavy underdogs covering this week. That's pretty interesting to see. And there are totally some things going into this year that we had thought about certain teams that may be changing after 1 week. Even though it's just 1 week, we got to keep adjusting to what's currently happening and not trying to confirm our priors like consistently throughout the season, obviously. So you got to basically adjust your expectations based on what you're seeing on the field. Yeah, and you had that Bengals game, the Steelers-Bengals game, with a lot of crazy things happening. And I guess it shows that coaching and defense still matters in this game, and that special teams can actually win you games. If you have a good special teams unit and you consistently have players that know what they're trying to do, and they give effort, it can win you a game. And yeah, I guess that brings up an interesting question. There's probably not a lot of teams that have one of their best players on defense trying to block a field goal, but is it worth putting one of your best players out there and risking injury, even though it could possibly win you a game? How valuable is a blocked field goal? It's probably more valuable than a deflection. It's probably more valuable than a tackle for loss or a sack, right? It's probably one of the more valuable plays a defensive player can make. And for the Steelers, the answer to that question is obviously yes. It's also really nice to see Saquon Barkley coming back and making some plays, looking really fast. Looking like almost like as fast as he was coming out of college. Not quite as fast, but he did have that nice breakaway run, and he was running over guys, and he had a nice game. Yeah, so that's really cool to see. Big fan. I love watching Saquon Barkley run the ball. He's really fun to watch. And yeah, a lot of really good games going on. So we're going to switch over to our picks for the week here. And then for our week 1 picks, we had picked the Falcons to cover versus the Saints. The 6.5 points. They wind up losing 27-26. Very close game. For the Rams game, we had picked the Rams to cover 2 points versus the Bills. Bills wind up winning 31-10. Not even close. Basically, the Rams couldn't block anybody this game. Really wasn't that close of a game at all. Rams couldn't get anything going on offense other than a few throws to Cooper Kupp. Then for Eagles at Lions, we had picked the Eagles to cover the 4 points. Nice to see the Lions basically come back and almost take the lead at the end there. Got really close. Kind of sucks, but it was really close, and the Lions played really well. And then for the Steelers and Bengals, we had picked the Steelers to cover. They actually wind up winning in a crazy game in overtime that was caused because Minkah Fitzpatrick blocked a field goal attempt, or blocked an extra point attempt right after Jamar Chase scoring a touchdown. Really incredible play. So yeah, that's really nice to see. I do like watching the Steelers, and I think Mike Tomlin might be the best head coach in the NFL. Then for the Patriots and Dolphins, we had picked the Patriots to cover 3 points. They actually wind up losing 20-7. Basically, couldn't get anything going on offense, and yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens with all them receivers. They can't get any offense going. And yeah, I guess we'll have to see. It's only week 1, but Bill Belichick might have to figure something out here. And then for the Ravens and Jets, we had picked the Ravens to cover 6.5 points. They wind up winning 24-9. Pretty nice game from Lamar Jackson, throwing the ball really well. Didn't run a whole lot. That's nice to see. You shouldn't have Lamar Jackson running in games where you don't really need to. And yeah, that way he's not going to take as many hits. Then for the Jaguars and Commanders, we had picked the under in this game, under 43. Commanders wind up winning 28-22. And we saw the good Carson Wentz this week. So we'll have to see what this looks like going forward. But that is nice to see. Hopefully he can keep going with this and return to the guy he once was for the Eagles as a rookie. We'll see. But yeah, this is one of his best games he's had in quite a while. And then for the Panthers and Browns, we had picked the Panthers to cover 1.5 points. I just thought Baker Mayfield revenge tour would definitely happen. Not quite. Looks like the Browns kicked a field goal at the end to win. And then for the Texans at Colts, we had picked the Texans to cover. Game winds up ending in a tie. And yeah, ties are not the most fun thing in the NFL, but if you extend the game even further, there's going to be much more chance of injury, and the NFLPA wouldn't like that. So I don't think this is going to change anytime soon. We're probably going to have ties maybe forever. Then for the Giants and Titans, we had picked the Titans to cover 5.5 points. Did not happen. Giants actually wind up winning, and Brian Daboll had a pretty impressive coaching premiere here. I guess the offensive line played pretty well, and wind up beating the Titans. And now the Titans have to answer some questions, especially on offense there. Then for the Vikings and Packers, we had picked under 46 points. Did happen this game. Vikings wind up winning 23-7. Justin Jefferson is on pace for 1,000,000 yards, and basically cannot be guarded by anybody. In this new offense, they're going to move him around, so it makes it harder to play man coverage. So yeah, maybe somebody's going to come up with an answer for that, but probably not. Justin Jefferson is probably the best receiver in the NFL. Then for the Chiefs at Cardinals, we had picked the Chiefs to cover 6 points. I thought this was a pretty easy pick for me just because the Cardinals have definitely had some stinkers throughout the last couple of years, and there's a lot of games where their offense just looks really, really bad, and this was no different. Chiefs wind up winning 44-21. And then for the Raiders and Chargers, we had picked the Raiders to cover 3.5. Didn't quite happen. They wind up losing by 5. Then we have the Buccaneers versus the Cowboys. We had picked the Buccaneers to cover 2.5. They do wind up winning 19-3. And yeah, unfortunately, Dak Prescott goes down with a thumb injury this game, I believe it's a broken thumb. It's going to require surgery, and he's going to be out something like 4 to 6 weeks. So I guess maybe he'll be back a little sooner. But the Cowboys have decided not to put him on IR, so that would indicate that they're going to try to return him a little sooner. I would not advise that, but I guess we'll see what happens. And then for the Broncos and Seahawks, the revenge tour has started. The Seahawks definitely surprised me here. Broncos did not cover that 6.5. Geno Smith played really well. He showed a lot of poise there. Made a lot of plays. He made some plays scrambling around and then still looking downfield to make plays out of the pocket. He was pretty impressive. And yeah, the Seahawks offensive line played one of the better games they have in a while. So maybe this will be a trend going forward. Then for our prop bets, we had picked James Cook, Kendrick Bourne, Mike Davis, and Mo Alley Cox anytime touchdown. So yeah, basically none of those hit, but James Cook, Kendrick Bourne, and Mike Davis all basically didn't play nearly as much as I thought they would. James Cook having that fumble and then getting benched. Kendrick Bourne having one big play and then basically not getting back in the game for some reason. Very odd. And then Mike Davis not being the lead back. The Ravens signed Kenyon Drake like, I don't know, a week ago, and all of a sudden he's the starter. So, that's interesting. Okay. But yeah, hopefully we can hit some of our prop bets next week. This week we went 7 and 9 in our picks. Hopefully next week we can do a little better, but I guess we'll have to see. Unfortunately, I had to record this video on Wednesday, and yeah, I slept in too much yesterday. So hopefully these videos will be posted on Tuesday going forward. We'll see, but that's the plan. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.